yes, perhaps. Could you tell us your estimated size of the pond that's forming up on the top end of the slide? Because we heard all kinds of numbers floating around out there, many of which are not accurate.
Our best estimate from yesterday was 7 acre-feet.
So
It's pretty small.
So surface area is...
Surface area was roughly 200 feet by 200 feet, and we took a wild guess on the depth. We said 5 to 7 feet. If you do that calculation, I think it comes out to around 7 acre-feet.
Possibly water management. In regards to the waterfall or the runoff that is coming off that top of the cliff, is there a way to maybe cut where the ground's a little more stable, higher up that cliff, on the backside there? Is there a way to cut a small channel to divert some of that runoff so it's not continuously filling?
I may not be...
Possibly water management. In regards to the waterfall or the runoff that is coming off that top of the cliff, is there a way to maybe cut where the ground's a little more stable, higher up that cliff, on the backside there? Is there a way to cut a small channel to divert some of that runoff so it's not continuously filling?
I may not be at meetings in terms of trying to divert some of that flow, but I'm not the best person to answer the current status of that.
Thank you.
We do have a water quality specialist, as I mentioned, Steve Cook with the state dam folks. That is my manager looking at all methods to do that. Obviously, that's a pretty daunting task when you look at the surface of the forest and the amount of runoff that's coming basically from snow melt. We're trying to take care of any man-available type stuff coming out of various impoundments up there and such like that. But in all honesty, looking to, I would not put equipment close enough to do any good at this point, just based on activity still on the slide. So.
Thank you.
Marine and rotary aircraft. The amount of standing water just on the top of the Grand Mesa everywhere was pretty terrific. And even from the standpoint of us getting up there to place some of this monitoring equipment, we have concerns about any heavy equipment that we put up there that might be able to do what you're talking about, sinking.
I'm not sure who the best answer this would be. We spoke about the water pooling out behind the debris head there. My question is, how come there's no way we can open that dam up and allow that flow to come through?
We have talked about that, and I'm going to let somebody else weigh in on something we've been talking about.
Couple things there. Number one, we actually considered that. We talked about all kinds of things, avalanche scheduling. I don't believe that anybody hasn't been up there knows the enormity of what we're dealing with. This is a huge block of dirt up there. We're not talking something that could easily be knocked down or blown through. We have seriously considered looking at that and asking even for some military and other. But at this point, we don't feel that that's the best way to go. What's happening now is we're getting a lot of water in. I believe 15 CFS or so. 15 to 20 CFS is flowing in, which is 15 to 20 cubic feet a second is coming in. We're only forming a small pond. As Jeff was noting, the rest of the water is slipping under our debris field, and we haven't seen much in the sense of an outlet yet. So if this turned into a different situation where that water started to raise greatly and quickly and we were creating a dam of water, we would probably consider that as more of an option at that point. Right now the water is moving out away from us and ponding slightly up there, but it is not at a point where we deemed it that that's the appropriate action.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
Sure, I think Jeff wants to talk a little bit.
The other thing that's going on up there is that there are an incredible number of downed aspen trees. Some all the way down, some halfway down, some still trying to stand up. You have faults all over the place because basically an active landslide, as it's deforming, it's breaking into pieces, and those pieces move differentially, and you create big exposed fault surfaces. It's a lot of loose debris, it's a lot of rough terrain, it's a lot of downed trees. Access is really difficult up there. I just wanted to throw that in.
You're talking about adjacent to it in an area that hasn't slid, we've seen cracks forming, and those cracks obviously create concern about the stability to even approach the block if you were gonna try to put somebody on the block to do work, or, you know, it's impossible to get heavy equipment on the block or whatever, but the area even adjacent to the block is an area of instability. Yes, sir.
You know, at the worst scenario, how bad of a water event? And I ask this because my house is about 50 or 60 feet from Plateau Creek.
Sure. Yeah, this is about that modeling done about what would happen, but we do know that if there was a slide event, that water has been going somewhere, and that water would likely escape, whatever that is. We know that it's not a gigantic pool of water now. Right. What we would see, we believe, and again, we need this modeling to really accurately answer this, but if another slide came down on top of the existing slide, there would probably be water that would be put into Salt Creek that would go down and then go into Plateau Creek. Plateau Creek, as you know, is bank full, or close to bank full, and you could be out of your banks in Plateau Creek. But we're not talking about the kind of water that's behind Vega, for instance. So, you know, that's the best answer I can give you. Pete, you have long experience with this community on Plateau Creek flooding. Is there anything you want to say about that?
No, I think you hit it right on, and our mode of attack at this point is we definitely are pushing the reverse 911. We have eyes on, very shortly tomorrow, we're hoping to have a real-time camera on there at all times. We're working to get the GPS. So at the headwaters of this, we're hoping to have the monitoring data, not only to help us in modeling, but then we'll work with Andy on warning systems through there. So, yeah, as mentioned.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, Stan, so 1 year, 5 years down the road, we've got a situation with the water. With all of the drilling technology that we have in this area, the well pads, why not just try directional drilling and tap into it from underneath or up top?
Anybody wants to answer that?
I have to think about this one a minute. I think something like that could be feasible during the dry season, maybe. I think access would be a bugger. I don't think you'd want to attempt anything like that right now for sure. We're not sure enough about what's going on up there to ensure safety for that kind of operation. Technically, I think it's not a bad idea. In practice, I'm not so sure.
But it could be 1 year down the road when things stabilize.
It's a suggestion that we'll not forget, JJ. Thank you. So one of the other things that I want to mention is that there's been a lot of talk about sort of the history of slides on the rim of the Grand Mesa that's formed as a result of slides. So slides not unusual. Our state geologist was talking about that, and you can basically look at any rim of the Grand Mesa and see a slide. It's the breadth, the depth, and the massiveness of this slide. One of the things I did not mention is we did use a UAV, an unmanned aerial vehicle, commonly known as a drone, and we mapped the bottom of this slide really well. It's some of the best picture and data that we have so far about what it did for us is it allowed us to understand how deep it is. We could compare it to what it was prior to the slide, and the flow of it and all of that. We can't get to the top yet to map the top, because when we're flying those things, you have to be level with where they're flying or close to it. So we're trying to make a place at the top so that we can do that mapping as well. There are some, in the interest of the conversation about recovery, there are many places in that slide that are over 100 feet deep. And you can imagine the difficulty with that as well.
Yeah, does the state have resources, maybe get wireless companies to set up some temporary cell service up that creek?
We hadn't mentioned that, but we're actually doing that. I understand they were on site today, Verizon. I'll say this, much of the monitoring data that we use, of course, is based on cell phone technology, and as anyone's aware, it's spotty here at best, a little better in some spots, not in others. So we have a system coming in that will boost it. I think if you bear bad news, it'll be there temporarily as a monitoring, and it'll probably go away. So, but we do have that, and we're working hard with Verizon to get that. And I believe the state brought that in for us, and they've used it previously. So that is great suggestion and one that we are moving forward on.
It also leads me to another thought is that if you're living here in Colburn or in this valley here, you may not see all of this work group here because they're either on their way to it or on their way back down valley. We actually had expressed a desire to take our command post that's now in Grand Junction at the sheriff's office and move it here. We'd like to be closer, but these challenges about communication are the barrier for us. We have a place where we either have good radio contact, good radio and maybe even cell phone. We have no internet. If we move a place where it has internet, then we lose radio and cell phone. So these are the reasons that you know, those are the barriers that we run into. I just want to mention that from the standpoint that if you don't see, you know, a lot of activity in town or wherever, just know that there is an enormous amount of activity in coordinating this, and people are going to the site, and people are flying to the site every day. And you'll see fixed wing aircraft and rotary wing aircraft, military aircraft. You saw Black Hawk there. We anticipate the Black Hawk will be engaged at least for a couple more days, and perhaps longer. And we've floated with CenturyLink is a helicopter, has a helicopter that they donate their service and time to our search and rescue people. They were here the very first day, and perhaps you see them again as well.
Earlier that you might have another meeting down the road and notify us of anything. Is there anything in the forecast of helping neighbors that are close to the creek before they flood, like sandbags or something like that, that the rest of us can help people that are close by?
We've commonly done that in this area, as you're well aware. And we've had great success with even the Job Corps helping us, and we bring typically a machine that can fill up there at the Plateau or Colburn Road and Bridge shop. And of course, our Road and Bridge guys are very active in getting those out to anybody that asks. You know, so again, we do have boots on the ground to be able to do that type of stuff. At this point, we're still in an evaluation stage, as mentioned, to determine, and we have various engineers running scenarios and a modeling effort. And from that may be our next step that we do if our modeling shows that there's some places that we want to buffer. But again, if you look at the enormity of what occurred here, that's a major mountain component that we're talking about there. So,
Peter, I might add that Colburn Public Works has sand and bags available for folks in town that want to protect their property from water as it comes up.
You mentioned the Job Corps. I'm employed there, and I've been running the sandbagging crew since '83.
Well, thank you.
And with our students, we're a manpower unit, and we have to be real careful with them. We put out about 150 bags today. The Road and Bridge usually brings sandbags and a truckload of sand down there, and we've got devices made to fill it. And we have to be real careful with our students. They can't be out close to the water at dark and after dark. But yeah, we're more than willing to work for you. We got a good workforce down there and people that are willing to work. So just coordinate with us. We'll try to get it done.
Appreciate it.
I'd like to add something. I'm also with Job Corps. Kurt does a great job. The kids were out sandbagging today, but we do have a door available and with washers, dryers, showers. We would love the command post to be set up. We do have internet, pretty good cell service sometimes. And you know, the community, all volunteers, things like that are welcome. We do have a place for you all to stay. We can feed you too. So we offer Colburn Job Corps on behalf of Gov Acres, Center Director. Okay.
Thank you.
We did hear this information prior to the meeting today, and certainly our management organization, our plant section chief and logistic chief will be evaluating the feasibility of that for us. But it is a generous offer, and we've always been very impressed with that operation and with the people there and the product that you do. So thank you very much.